Are you able to see my screen?
Would you make it a little bigger?
You want it bigger? Okay.
Yes, please.
Let me see how much. Is that better?
Larger. Better.
Okay. I think that's
A little
big as
better.
it goes.
That's
Okay, go to the other monitor. That's better?
yes.
Okay. So this is Pearl's homepage, Wellware System. I'm going to log out and probably log back in so that you can see. Let me go back and see. Okay, so let's do the homepage. You'll have, when you get your credentials and Project Enhance and Megan give you the credentials, what you'll see is you go to this homepage and you look for Wellware Login. So in Wellware Login, you'll see this username, password. Everyone will have a username and a password that is designated to you. Once you put it into the system, you'll be logged into the Wellware system. For those of you who have done Pearls and Enhanced Wellness, you will have the availability of those two tabs, Enhanced Wellness and Pearls. If you could see at the upper left, you have three tabs. One is Home, one is for Enhanced Wellness, and one is for Pearls. If you have only done the Pearls training, you will only have the Pearls Home tab. And if you only did Enhanced Wellness, you would only have the Enhanced Wellness Home tab. If you go to your Home tab, the General Home tab, what you will see is the Wellware system, and to your left, you will see your name. So this is a dummy account. So welcome, Dorothy Gale. You can change your profile here, log out. Then you would have the Enhanced Wellness menu, and then you have the Pearls shortcut. So you will always have the availability of accessing Wellware either through the home page. You have these boxes to your left, and you can access Wellware or for Pearls or for Enhanced Wellness through here, or you could do it through the upper tabs that you have in the, besides the Home tab. So let's start with Pearl's homepage. Once you come to Pearl's homepage, you will have four main boxes to the right. It's Program Activity, Program Management, Reporting, and Assistance. So from Program Activity, it's to create a new Pearls client. So that's where you will find, in order for you to be able to introduce a new client to the system, this is the box that you would look at, and then you have to the right corner, you would have Pearls Participants. You click into that, and you would create a new participant. You could do it through there, or if you look to your left side, the box that says Pearls Shortcuts, you also have Pearls Participants there. So you can access Pearls Participants either through the box on your left that has Pearls Shortcut, or when you go to the Pearls homepage, the upper box that has Pearls Participants. The second box that we have is Program Management. And this really is to assist you in providing forms that you might need for Pearls, and any healthcare provider that's affiliated to your client would be going into this, this box. You need to go through this. And a Pearls affiliate, which Pearls affiliates are the sites that are delivering the program. So these are three for Program Management. You'll have those three links to start introducing information. You have the availability of accessing all of the forms for Pearls, of introducing healthcare providers associated to your clients, and of introducing Pearls Affiliate, which are organizations that are providing the services of Pearls that are linked to your organization and supervised and linked to MAC as well. And we'll go through all of those. When we do the reporting, also the third box that you have is for reporting. And there's different types of reports that you can have access to. So this is where you would be able to create those reports. It's mostly to kind of know how many of them are remission, reduction of the symptoms, what is the amount of participants that you have been able to do in that month or have in the system, and then you can modify them based on need. The last box is for assistance. So in here you find assistant requests. These are normally the type of requests that you would provide. Let me see. Somebody has us on hold.
They need to go ahead and mute everybody.
Let me see. I'm going to mute all.
The conference has been muted.
So if you have, for the last box that we have is the assistance, and you do have the one that says requests and resources. The requests normally go to Megan, which she is the person that manages from Project Enhance, the Wellware platform. And these type of requests are more for, let's say there is a glitch in the system and you're not able to see some of your participants. It rarely happens, anything like that, but just in case something like that might come up. Or that you made a mistake when you were registering some of the forms, and you've already placed it like it's like everything was done and you stopped. So when you start putting up the forms and filling in the blanks, when you're finished and you're done, you cannot modify that form once you're finished. So let's say there was a mistake that you made, you were not aware, and you want to go back and fix that mistake, you have to request Megan to give you access to that form again, so you are able to modify the numbers in that particular form. So when you have any of those issues, then you want to request assistance from Megan to be able to work with the system. Other than that, I would say normally if there's questions with the program, how things will work within your organization, then that goes through MAC first, and then it could go back to them. Okay? I'll unmute you for now and see if you have any questions with the PEARLS homepage, and if not, then we can go to the Enhanced Wellness homepage and then start with PEARLS system.
The conference has been unmuted.
So does anybody have questions with PEARLS? I see Grace White has their hand raised. Hello, is everyone there? Hello?
Yeah,
I'm still here. Okay. I'm trying to figure out who is it that is.
I'm still here.
Okay, there we go. I was able to locate the number, but I don't know if that person has questions. We won't be able to see. Okay. You still able to see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's go now to Enhanced Wellness just to see the whole page, and then we'll go through PEARLS, and then when we have time, go through Enhanced Wellness. So the Enhanced Wellness homepage, similar to the PEARLS tab, but as you can see, the colors are different. So normally in PEARLS, you'll see everything in blue, and for Enhanced Wellness, you're going to see everything in orange. So that also gives you a distinction. If you're seeing everything in orange, you probably look at the top left corner for the tab that is Enhanced Wellness, or in the middle boxes, you could also look at the logos, and each one of the home pages will have their logo at the top as well. So just make sure that you're on the right tab whenever you are looking for clients and introducing new participants. You would also have the box to the left, Enhanced Wellness Menu, and this Enhanced Wellness Menu has a little more resources than the Pearls shortcut. So you could do the Enhanced Wellness Participants through this box and also through the main menu and clicking into EW Participants. EW Groups, so before there was Enhanced Wellness Groups that were formed once people went through the program. Currently, it's not part of the program, but they can be part of groups, and then you can register that into the system so that you know that they are either participating in a group or being part of a group. Please, okay, let me mute all of you.
The conference has been muted.
We also have the second box that's program management. So if you see it's similar to the other, the Pearls menu, you'll have the same type of main boxes, areas, but what will change obviously are the forms and how the system is linked to each program. So you have the Enhanced Wellness Program forms, the healthcare providers. In both systems, we have healthcare providers that are linked to participants if they wish to share that information, because we are communicating back. Okay. Okay, I think that the screen has been shared already, right? So for those of you that, this program activity, as I was saying, Enhanced Wellness Participants, EW Groups, Program Management, Program Forms, Healthcare Providers that are linked to each participant. EW Affiliate is also the site that's providing the program, and that's associated to your organization, and you will be associated to MAC. So the way the system works is MAC is the overseeing organization for everyone. Then you have they have different affiliates, which would be all of your organizations, and you can have different sites if you want to distinguish them. So let's say you are providing services in a specific city or county, that you have 3 or 4 centers that you're providing the services to. If you want to know how many participants you have of each of those centers, you can create different sites for those centers, and that way you would be able to go into what do you have for Center A, Center B, and Center C, and that's part of, in here you would be able to do that, your affiliate. So they would all Center A, B, and C would be affiliated to your organization, and you would be able to see everything that's going on, but you can separate them if you need to and just report on what you've done for Center A, Center B, and Center C. Reports, the third box that we have. We also have different types of reports that you can create with Wellware. And then you have your assistance box that it's the same thing as with the other one. There's some, when you put the baseline questionnaire, then all of that information that you've introduced for baseline questionnaire, once you save it, you cannot modify it. So you would have to request Megan for any changes that you need to do in the system that you cannot modify. There are some fields that you can edit, but that's just one of those that you cannot, you're not able to edit. Does anybody have any questions? If you do, you might want to type them in, because I know with Pearls we didn't have any questions, so I'm assuming Enhanced Wellness might be the same. Okay. So now we're going to go to Pearls again. And what we're going to do is create a new participant. So let's go to Pearls Participants tab at the beginning. And I want you to first see the home page that you have when you do that Pearls participant. You see that you have a view at the top or left corner. It says active clients, all clients, and you have a menu. So it'll give you a menu of all clients, inactive, referrals, participants, follow-up, and completers. So you can choose all active ones, and that's why it's only giving me one client. But if I choose all clients, it should give me, I guess I only have one. It should give me the list of everyone that is in the system that is either a follow-up, a completer, active, inactive, or that is still a participant in the system. The site, this goes back to the affiliate site. So these are the sites that we have created so far. Therefore, so if I go, for example, Northwest, it'll give me different participants. If I do the Pearls test site, it'll give me other participants, and I've included all of them. Then it'll give me all the participants that I have in the system through all the sites that I have been able to go through, okay? So this is a place where you would be able to see all of your participants, but let's say you need to now create a new one. So you go to the upper right corner and create new participant. And first name, you include first name, last name, and birth date. It will always search to see if there is any other participant that has that same information. And if they do, it'll ask you if that's the same participant. You can link to that one. And if it doesn't, then it'll tell you to create, if you want to create a new participant. So after you search possible matching participants, no participants are close to the match. So since you have no participants, you want to create a new one, and you'll click into that create new participant. Let me stop here for a while and ask if there are any questions so far.
The conference has been unmuted.
Questions? Okay.
The conference has been muted.
So when creating the new participant, the fields for the name and the birth date will already be populated. And we will go into, so if you see at the upper, where it says first name and last name, it has a red vertical bar. Everything that has this red bar means that you cannot move forward if you don't have something written in that specific line. So the rest, some of them don't have that red line, which means that you can come later and add it. You can still move forward, but for those of your first name, last name, and the site, those are mandatory that you fill it out before you can move forward, because the system will not let you. So you don't have to put a nickname or middle initial if you don't have one for them. You will introduce a phone number, and I don't have phone numbers from that area, so I'll put code lines that I know. If they have an email, you can introduce an email. Some of them don't. If they have given consent to the research consent, and remember, research is not to provide any personal information, but it's mostly for them to kind of look at the program to see if they can improve it, but they don't take out any of their personal information. Then you have the site. You're going to choose what site, so that's why you you need to have those sites already in place before you go to this location for site, and it'll give you all the sites that you have available. So if there's a site that's not here, you need to create it first, and then it will be able to appear in this section. The internal ID, if you create internal IDs within your organization, you can put one for them, but you don't need to provide an internal ID for each participant. The note section is, let's say you need to provide comments that you don't want to forget when you do your clinical supervision from that first encounter. If it's either any stressors that are of particular relevance to that participant, or if you saw anything within the time that you were there that is relevant, then this would be the section to create those notes. And it's really just, you type anything, and it has, I think it is about 2,200 characters, 2,000 characters or something around that. But just make sure to keep your notes brief but informative. So you would create your notes in this section. Street addresses, you would normally provide their home address, primary city, state, and county in the case for each one, the zip code as well. If they have a secondary address, so normally your clients might have their address and a son's or a daughter's, that also you are able to contact or reach them there. So if you have that information and they want to share it with you, then you could put that information here in case you can't find them in this first address. You know that there's always this second address that you can locate them at. The demographic information goes into the participant information form that you filled out with Pearls. So you'll go into gender, language, if they do speak another language, if they have difficulty understanding. So you kind of go through all of that. So I'm just right now filling out okay. So as you can see, these are just pretty much scroll down menus, and there's some fields that you could either write on or they give you access to do that. When you go into the race, what you do, there's two ways of getting race. So you could either click on the race and then press on the arrow that points to the right, and it'll go into the chosen box. So if it's not in the chosen box, you have not determined the race in this case. If you want to put it back, then you can just press the left arrow, or you could double click and then it'll automatically go to the chosen box. So insurance, we ask them, we're not asking them to pay for any of the services now, but you can ask them what type of insurance they have and put it into the system. So in this demo, there is an error here in the system. Normally you will find when it says other conditions, it'll give you a list of conditions similar to the race. So it'll give you hypertension, it'll give you kind of basic healthcare conditions that you ask for, and then from those you will choose and put them into the box like you did here, and then it will tell you other conditions and you can write it down. So just in this part, make sure to keep in mind that it'll be first a box like this where you can choose which one are they, and then you can put them to the right. Medications from our end are the geriatric psychiatrist request that we put the psychotropic medications first. So any medication that's associated to the depression or to a mental health condition that they have, those are the first medications that will go in here. And they want you to put like the name of the drug that they're using, the dosage, period of time that they've been using this particular medication, what is the prescription, like what type, if it's saying take it twice a day, 3 times a day, and then how does the participant really take it? How frequently? And if they feel it's working. So these are some of the things that you can put into medication. You don't have to put a lot into it. Remember, it's a limited amount of characters that we have available for all of these notes. But you just want to name those medications, dosage, if it's 10 milligrams, 5 milligrams, all of that information, it's relevant to put it here. Then after you've finished with mental health associated medications, then you go into any medications that they take for any other chronic conditions, and at the end you would put any supplements that they're taking. If it's either multivitamin, any tea, all of that you could put into that part as well. Referral type. So normally people who refer to you might be either an area agency on aging, housing, a nurse. So it's just to give you an idea of where are you getting most of your referrals from. So this is why you have this referral type box in here, and then you can choose any of the ones that are already here. But if you don't have any of those, then you could choose other, and you would be able to write a description of who that other is. Once you are done with that initial, you can see you have the save button at the bottom, and you also have it at the top. So you could just press save for any of those, and you would have it there. Pearl's test site is a site that I put. She's an active client because I have just added her into the system, and it's the second one here, Donald Janine, and she is already in the system. So as you can see, I have her created, and it's already in there. Questions so far?
The conference has been unmuted.
So, this is Linda.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted, those of us who are not medically inclined, how do we know this is the medication for depression?
Uh-huh. So normally what you do is you can either, they normally know what medication they take either for depression or because the doctor has prescribed, they could tell you that. But if not, if you look up at the name, then they tell you if it's a psychotropic medication or medication associated with a mental health condition. They have some list of medications here, but maybe that could be something that you could use and put together within Max, some of the medications that are mostly used, so that you can have a list available and you at least know some of those medications. But if not, then you could also Google it and it'll tell you if that medication is used for mental health or it's a psychotropic medication or not.
Thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
So we're not interested in any other medications, right?
We want to know all of the medications that the person
All,
is taking.
okay.
Yes. So that's why I said you start with those associated with mental health, but then you go into the other medications. You want to list them also because he needs to see if there are any interactions, but obviously the
Right.
focus will be for those associated to mental health. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
Is there some way that we would have the names of their doctors, their providers?
Yes, when you start with the program with them, you ask them if they want to share the information of their provider, and if they
Okay.
say yes, they will give you the name and the address of that doctor so that you are able to communicate and say this person has started up with the program, and then just send them letters, and that way also the psychiatrist would be able to communicate if needed with that doctor.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to put you all back on mute and continue with participants here.
The conference has been muted.
So once you have created your new participant, you go back to the system, to that active participant, and as you can see, the menu has changed. So before it was just logging into the information for that person to be introduced into the system, and then you will have now this new menu that's coming up. So you can edit what you have done with that person. So the first information that you put in, you can edit that. If there's no need, you cancel. If you have something to edit, you do that. You can change status. So if you see at the right side of above status active, it says you can change status to being inactive, and then you can provide a reason why that person is inactive. So this is what you use normally when somebody goes into the hospital, they're not able to continue the program, or something happened, you can inactivate them. When the person has completed, then you can inactivate that person too. If they have ineligibility, then you say why are they not eligible to go through the program, and then you could provide those reasons. If you have another one that is not listed here, you do the other and you'll provide the information in the field. Or if it's an unknown, then you could also register that. Okay? So this would be the place where you change that status for that person. Okay, so as you can see, all of these will be hidden, but when you press into the show, you will have access to all of that information. Healthcare information at this point is just the medication, and you would find here the other conditions, chronic conditions that they might have. If you see at the bottom, it says health providers, link to health provider, and PEARLS enrollment if it's a new enrollment for this participant. Healthcare provider, in order for you to be able to link it to a participant, the healthcare provider has to be in the system. So I'll just try to do it through here and so that I can show you. So I press the link into a healthcare provider and it prompts me to this next section. I have to look up for the doctor. See, as it has the little red bar. So that means that I have to provide a name for that. And when I look at the provider, look up, I see I have Mark Campbell and John Kilder. So if the provider is any of these two, I can click on it and it'll automatically be linked to that participant. But let's say in this case, I say no, the provider is not any of those, so that means I cannot do that, and I would have to cancel and do it through the main system and create that healthcare provider. So I'm not going to link it right now because I need to show you how to create a healthcare provider, but I just wanted to show you that you could do that through the system as well. Since you've already created this information, you could see the tracking chart. If you go to the tracking chart, this is what you'll start to see. So this gets auto-populated. Since we don't have any sessions, it has not created the PHQ-9 section with all of the other information, but it will create it once you have uploaded it into the system. But for now, it has only put in the information that you have as a new participant. So this is what the geriatric psychiatrist or the clinical supervisor will be looking at. Every time that you introduce information into Wellware, he would have the availability to look at that information and go through each of the PHQ-9s and each of the sessions that you have there, and he would be able to see all of that information here. That's why it's very important for you to be able to provide that information before you go to your clinical supervisor. You need to make sure that everything is in the system so that he's able to look at that. Okay, so let's go to first session. So I have said yes to them being into research, and I'm going to begin the screening. So as you can see, when I start my screening, it'll prompt me to PHQ-9. That's how we start every single session. Let's say our first session was not on today, 4/25/19, but it was on Monday. So I can backtrack the date that I started the session, and this was the actual session date. It'll always give me the name of the counselor. In this case, well, it's my client, so it'll always give me my name. And I can provide the location. If it was on the phone, in home, or any other location, I could provide that. The length, I would say it was the initial one, so it's 90 minutes, for example. And then I will start filling out my PHQ-9. As you can see, it's a drop-down menu. And you just start putting in the information. When you go to question 9, if you have it as a 0, nothing will happen with it. It just prompts you to the next questionnaire. But once you have a 1 or higher and you put save and score PHQ-9, it will prompt you to this box giving you, remember, if that person is in danger for self-harm or something, then follow the protocol. And it's just a reminder for you, if you didn't do it, to remember to do it once you're there, because that person answered a 1 or above, and you would follow the protocol that you have established within your organization. It'll also give you the score, so it gives you a score of 16. Participant meets criteria for major depression in this case. Okay? And you go to the next section. Okay, so I have done PHQ-9. I showed you track form, the track sheet, and we talked about the healthcare provider. So I'm going to leave you time to see if you have any questions so far.
The conference has been unmuted. The conference has been unmuted.
No questions?
Oh, I have a question.
Great.
If a person is in hospital and say it's a week after surgery or in rehab, can we visit them there?
You can if the person says that they want to continue with the program, but let's say you're not able to reach that person and you just don't have access to and don't know where they are, they haven't answered the phone. So you just wait up. When you find out that the person is in the hospital, then you can put them inactive because they're in the hospital at that moment, but you can continue with them later on. It's just for the system, for the purposes of putting information into the system, knowing what's going on with that person. So it's more of informational. Yeah. But you can definitely visit them there if they want to. Somebody said Carol, I think, aside from, was there another question?
It was me, Grace. So this is after we capture all of this information with a paper form when we go to their home or wherever, and then we're going to enter it when we come back, or are we doing
Correct.
this? Yeah, okay, got it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the idea is for you to do it later. Sometimes if people have access to do this, and they could do it, but what I find is it takes away from that personal contact with the participant, and you're really
Right.
not there mostly clinical. It's most like a peer and trying to have a conversation with them, so it just takes away from that dynamic. So you want to make sure that you go into, it's better to go into writing and then putting the forms into the system later on. Any other questions? Okay, I'll mute you all again, and then I'm going to go to the screening tools, and we'll talk about this screen that we have here.
The conference has been unmuted. The conference has been muted. The conference has been muted.
Okay, so as you can see, we have to the left, you will see participant name. So Donald Janine, you know what participant you are looking at, what type you're doing the screening for now. So I could have put in the phone. If I'm doing a phone screening, I would put phone, and then it'll show me an option for phone screening, in person, and the rest. But since I put in person, it means that I did everything together and did not do any of that screening through the phone. As you can see, the screening sections, it'll tell me PHQ-9 because I have already uploaded the information. It gives me eligible, which means that that person has symptoms or indications of some type of depression. Now I'm going to go through all of the other exclusionary criteria to see if that person is eligible or not eligible for the program. So in the past 2 years, this is for persistent depressive disorder, which was called dysthymia. So let's say they say yes. So it'll prompt you to the next section, which is the exclusionary conditions. Let me put yes, just so that you can see what comes up next. So once you put yes to the first one, the rest of the questions will be prompted in, and then you can see yes, no, and then it'll give you, if you have yes, what type of medication do they use. So it'll mimic the form that you have, but it'll do it once you've answered to each question and they know that it's a yes. Otherwise, it would not make you go through the whole form. So let's say it's a no because we want that person to go through the program in order for us to be able to continue. So if I put yes to bipolar illness, no, so we go to the next section. Schizophrenia, any psychosis. If I put yes, the same thing will happen. It goes into the other forms, medication dose, but I'm going to put no so that we can continue with this person being eligible for the program. So every time you're going to put save. These are the forms that if you made any mistake, you will have to contact Megan in order to be able to correct any mistakes that were done here. Go to the next section, alcohol use. So if you say yes, it'll prompt you to the next one, and it'll kind of go through it. But let's also say no for these ones. So as you can see, every time that we're going through one of the screening tools, PHQ-9, they're eligible. If they have persistent depressive disorder, dysthymia before, is eligible. Bipolar, don't have anything, any bipolar disorder, they're eligible. No psychosis, no alcohol use, they continue to be eligible. So this goes through all of the screening forms that you do with that person. Remember that if they have a 3 or more, they're able to be part of the program. So let's say this person answered 4 of them correctly, and 2 of them that person didn't. So you say that, So this is not an exclusionary condition. So they're able to be part of the program. So you've finished with all of the forms with them. And since you've already finished and they're eligible, you will put complete and screen in. If they were not eligible to go through the program, you would put complete and screen out. Questions so far? It's 10:21. Let me unmute you because we know it's 1 hour, and let's.
The conference has been unmuted.
Okay. So we have complete and screen in. And then you will get prompted to the next screen. So, yes. Somebody had a question? Okay. So if you view this, you go back to the screen, and this would be the summary. This is for you to start the new baseline. So once you've done with the screening, the next thing that you have to do is your baseline. So baseline goes into the PHQ-9. I don't remember what I answered, so let's put another date so that it doesn't interfere. And I'm going to do this, fill it out quickly, just so that you could see it. And I'm going to put a 0 on this one so that you could see that when you go through that PHQ-9, it doesn't really reflect. But if I could do the copy screening one, then it also automatically populates that one. So if you did it the same day, you would put the copy screening one, and if you did it a different day, then you have to answer each and every one. So then you go into that first form that you have. So are you being treated for any psychological depression? Let's say they are. And then it'll ask for what year. So this is just pretty much filling out
Is this the first session?
this is for everything that goes in the first session.
Oh, okay.
So you have all the psychological part. So this goes into the sections. It has psychological treatment, self-rated health, social activity, physical activity, and pleasant activities. So it'll go through the whole baseline questionnaire, and it'll give you all the questions that you have for each section. So it gives you the questions by section. Okay. So this is just pretty much filling in. I'm doing it a little bit quickly, but it's just filling in what you have and all the information that they've provided. And then I'll put notes to every one of these. So that's for physical activity. And then the last one, which is pleasant activity. So as you can see at this point, since I have not saved it, I still have the edit option here. And I could still edit some of that. But once I put complete session, it means that I'm done. I could finish it later and it'll save it. but it would not add it to the system yet until it's completely saved. So I complete the session, and this would be for a new session 1 or all the profile. But I want to show you what that participant's track sheet looks like now. So I go back to the participant and look for Donald Janine, and I go to their tracking chart. And since I've already included information for their baseline, then I will have this chart auto-populated with the information that I put in there. Once I go through a first session, it'll give me all of these information too: physical activity plan, social, pleasant, current stressors, and all that information will be provided based on the information that I upload into the system. So we have 10:27 right now. Let me know if you have any questions with what we've done so far.
If one is doing in 2 different centers, would that person get 2 passwords?
No. For your counselors? You as a counselor?
Yeah.
No, you will have the only one password to go into the system, but you can be affiliated to do centers. So that's when we go back to Megan, we tell her this person is associated with these 2 institutions, and you will have the option of choosing what organization you will be working under or what site you will be working under.
Oh, and the site will be the indicator, right?
Correct. And that's why you want to make sure that you know where the site is, because that way when you go into the participant, like this participant, it's for, let me go back. This is for Pearl's test site, but you could be affiliated. So let's say this is my homepage. I'm affiliated to all these 4 organizations. So I could provide services at Northwest, Pearl's test,
Right.
or RTC, or V37. V3
Oh,
test.
good.
So
who will put it in?
So you have to provide that information to Sue, and then make sure to, or Carolyn, I don't know who would be the person, and make sure that they know what organizations you need to be affiliated to, and then they'll give, Megan is going to have to give you access to both of those organizations. So Megan is the person that will determine who gets to see what based on what we tell her. So the person that's a coordinator is able to see every single client from their site, because from their organization, because they coordinate the organization. And as a counselor, you're only able to see the clients that you deliver the program to.
Right.
And then if you have more than one organization that you're working with, then you just need to let her know that you will be working with 2 organizations, and she will give you those 2 options in the system.
Yeah, and that would be through Carolyn Moore.
Okay,
She
Carolyn
would
Moore.
coordinate that.
So what
And
we're going to
Jeanette.
do, it's 10:29, and I know we said for an hour. So what we're going to do is we're going to record a webinar of the rest of this, and then probably have it available to all of you. And when you have questions, then we can go back to it, and we'll figure it out, because I know it's 1 hour. It's not enough time to go through all of it. But at least you got the first part, and then the rest, it's really very basic. All of the system and the forms, it's in that same format. So if you see Pearl's forms, you have them all here. You go to the view activity, and then you put view file. And that's where every file you'll see, and this is where you can download them and print them out if you don't have your manual with you, or if you had, let's say, already written in one of them and you have access through it with the system as well. So you have all of the forms that you need for Pearls and Enhanced Wellness as well.
Carol, there are 2 additional ones. I think if you go into Pearl's Home, it will, up at the top, it will also show you, it should, at the very top, there should be a place, or maybe it's under Forms. You click on Forms, and you should be able to access. There are 2 forms that are not available for everybody, but they are used by Florida and by Maryland. don't know where
I
I'm
think
seeing.
this is the demo. So remember, this is a demo one.
So it's not them. Yeah.
So in the demo, but it would be here. When you have folder, you would have the option here. So whatever it says Pearls Forms, and then it might say something else with Pearls. So anything that has Pearls, it gives you the name of Pearls, but anything that EW is Enhanced Wellness. So if you have both, it'll always distinguish it by Pearls and EW.
Good. Yes, because two that are not in this list that's used by other states, but we have those additional forms because of the ACL requirements.
Correct. So healthcare provider also. So you go into that tab. This is all healthcare providers that are in the system. Then you have active and inactive, and if you create one, you go through the middle, create new healthcare provider, and it's not doing it. So I'm going to have, so sometimes with this system, it's a little bit different because it's not the same that you have when you log in. For some reason, the system is not giving me the healthcare provider option to log it in and show you. So I'll have to talk to Megan about this. Any questions so far with what we've talked about with Pearls?
Question, Vita.
Yes.
So once we put all information for the baseline information, we don't tell them right then and there if they're not eligible. We tell them later on after we put the information in, correct?
Well, if you know when you're part of the program, of course. If you don't know when you're doing the questionnaires with them, then you kind of don't tell them. But if you know at that point, you can tell them, well, this program is really focused for, people that have some symptoms of depression, if let's say they don't have depression. And then these are other options and other programs that you could be part of with this organization, or if you know some resources of things that they could participate in. I would say that every time that you go into, have a list of other resources or other programs that you might have either within your organization or partner organizations. So that way, if they're not eligible, you can at least give them an option. But if you, let's say, also have Enhanced Wellness, you can tell them, well, this was not a program for depression, but since you don't have symptoms of depression, we do have this other program called Enhanced Wellness, and then you could be part of that one, and I could have somebody visit you. Or we have a group program that you could be part of that is located in this center, and you can call for more information. And, give them something always when you go there and know that they're not eligible for a program. And you want to say that the program is not a good fit for you because it's targeting this, and then it wouldn't be useful to you. And that's why we want to make sure that you have something that's useful to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes, not a problem. Other questions? So, Sue, do you want me to stop and then we can figure it out and record it later, kind of work with it later and see for recordings for the future? Hello?
Hello?
Sue?
Sorry, I was talking on mute. I think, it might be easiest just to go ahead and go through the parts that weren't completed as part of this webinar, and then everybody will have it. Does that make sense?
When you say go ahead and complete, go through Pearls, all of it, or just what I have gone through already?
Oh, just the part of Pearls that you didn't complete. I think you didn't go through the final session, correct?
Correct.
So maybe finish it up.
Okay. Okay, now I'm trying to see if I can go to healthcare provider. Then let me just, no, it's not letting me do this. So healthcare provider will have to be, but healthcare provider is just pretty much when you go into that create new healthcare provider in the middle, you just create that healthcare provider and then put the name, the address, number, what organization it's affiliated to, and then you save that information. And once you do that, it'll give you their name like it does in here. So once you have the provider you created, like this is what's going to ask from you: the name, the first, last name, the address, city, zip code, and what's the practice if you have the name of the practice. You can edit this information later on, so if you don't have all of the information, but you can edit it later and add it. And then you can also match the participant through here or through the participant. So see where it says new EW participant provider match? So in this case it wouldn't be an EW, it would be for Pearls. So you could do it both ways. You could look it up through you could put the name if you remember the name. If not, you could look it up and it says Donald Janine. I would say that for those of you who need to log off, you can do so, and those of you that could stay, and we'll have it recorded for you here. Okay, so it's already matched to that participant, to Janine, Donald. See how her name appears at the bottom? So once you're here, Mark Campbell, you have the provider, and then EW participant provider matches, it says Chowder and then Donald Janine, which is the one that we just created. You can have both of them go through Enhanced Wellness and Pearls, but in this case we're just kind of doing one, so we'll just have them go through Pearls. Okay. So we're back to this first person. They've completed the baseline, as you can see below. And we have to do, so you can do additional sessions through here. They have linked already to a healthcare provider. It gives the healthcare provider that they're associated to. And then let's go through sessions. So we have a new session. Remember that you always start with the PHQ-9. I see this is already doing a lot better. Since I put 0 in the question 9, it will not prompt me to that little box saying. And then in here is where you're going to add what you have for the current stressor. So this is kind of your worksheet. If you see, it's not exactly the same as the worksheet that you work with them and paper, but it gives the information that you need. Current stressors are, let's say that you found out that their spouse is dying, or they're in the hospital, they have a child that, that they're going through a lot of things through their life. So you could say finances might be a current stressor, loss of a spouse, or they have food insecurity, or have other type of stressors that are currently happening with them. And it doesn't mean that those are the ones that you've been working with them currently in your problem, but it means that those are things that are affecting that person, and they are added stressors to what she has. Other symptoms, so let's say that she is, if she's been sad or crying a lot or has, pain, whatever other symptoms might be that you could add to this. Since you have not done a previous session with them, so here you can't put any progress from last session. Problem address is this session, so you create a problem. You're not going out of the house. The goal is to go out of the house once a week, at least. And then for pleasant activities, they're going to water their plants. You can put the frequency if you have all of that information. You put it into the system. For physical activity, walk around the building. Twice a week. Social activity, join. And I'm going to mute you.
The conference has been muted.
And then if there are any notes, you add them here. Anything that you want to mention or that's relevant, then you would add it to this part. That could be what are they planning on doing for that once a week going out, or anything else that might be relevant to the visit with that person. So this is what your notes would look like. You can edit at this point because you have not completed the session, but if everything is accurate, then you complete the session and you have it there with you. So that would be your back to Pearl's clients, Donald, Janine, tracking chart, and then you continue to have it here. For some reason, it's not doing it right now. I think it's because of the dummy count, but normally what happens is this fields over here are also auto-populated. So you would have the progress review from last session, problem address, current stressors, everything that you filled out previously would be in there so that the person, the supervisor, would be able to see it. Okay. Let me see if I can find a client that's a completer. I just want you to see what that completer version looks like. So once you'll go through each one of them. You'll have, obviously every time that you go, it'll give you that button for session, session, session until you're up to the last one. You will do the final questionnaire and that session for that final, this final session over here. This is the satisfaction survey. The satisfaction questionnaire is, if they felt that the program was helpful, in what ways was the program helpful, and then you can add what they say, about help me socialize, or it helped me with different tools. So this is the place where you log in all that information and you save it. Every time that you have a follow-up call, you do that PHQ-9 and then kind of go through how are they feeling, if they're doing well. And the PHQ-9 is optional. It's not something that you normally do, but if you feel like, that they would benefit from it, go through it, then you can. If not, you only have to put in the notes of that specific client. What you will see in their tracking chart, and it's not populating this, but you will see all of the information from baseline to final, and you can go through all of that. So let me try with Janine. So let's say this person is we don't use that one. So these are some of them that are they were created for another organization. You don't have to use those. So you don't have to create these optional ones. Trying to see if I could do a completer and add the rest. Let me see from the ones that are further ahead. Okay. Well, your best option will go through. Let's go to one that's already completed. So you do the final session. You're going to have your PHQ-9, which is already completed in this case. It'll ask you the same thing that you do with your worksheet, your current stressors. So you do the same thing that you normally do at a regular session. And then it will ask you for the final questionnaire. So this is part of the final questionnaire that we did initially. Go to the next section, social activity. Quite active. 2. You fill out whatever they. Let's go to physical activity. They're being a little bit more active. And then we go to pleasant activity. So this is the final session. So you go through PHQ-9 worksheet, the PEARLS worksheet, and then through the final questionnaire. You go back to the summary, and then you complete the satisfaction survey, which is let's say you did it at home. Did they provide useful tools and strategies? Yes. On a scale from 1 to 10, how happy you feel that it benefit? And then why did it benefit you? I did benefit from PEARLS session because, and then they could tell you, I learned how to take care of myself. I learned how to, whatever they feel that they've learned from the program and how it's benefit in their life. Did you look forward to the PEARLS session? Yes, I looked forward because it gave me company. I had somebody to talk to. It was really helpful, whatever they feel in saying. And then I appreciated my PEARLS counselor because, and why are the reasons that they liked having you there. And then you're going to save that, and that's going to go into the satisfaction survey. So once you complete the final session, the satisfaction, and then you go into each of those follow-up, create a new follow-up. So it's just going to be the date, location on the phone, and then what are the notes, blah, blah. This one you don't have to complete, then you go back to summary. You've done all of this and you finished 2 follow-up calls. And when you do 2 follow-up calls, let's say we said it's between 3 and 4, right? but let's say that you cannot contact them anymore and you will only have those two, then you would finish that participant. So the status is still active. Once you've completed, you have to inactivate them, put them as completed. And this you only do if final session has been done. So in their case, final session has been done. We can put it as completer. So we can change their status to completer and inactivate the participant because you're not going to be working with them anymore. Or you could still have them active as a person that still needs to do follow-up and new sessions, okay? So let me unmute you and see if you have any questions because I know we've gone
The
through
conference has been unmuted.
questions so far.
So a month later, this client says, I really want to come back. Do you take that person?
No, Pearls is just a once
Pardon?
program that you go through at once for Pearls.
Yeah, suppose you have 3 sessions and then the person says, I'm not interested. And then a month later, she calls me and says, can we redo that?
If they have gone through, if they're already at their 3rd session and only a month has passed, you can continue to work with them. But this is the protocol we have in Florida. So it depends on when they say that they don't want to continue with the program. If you're starting off or already advanced, by the time you're in the 3rd session, you're already going to the bi-weekly, so every other week. So they would have only really missed 1 session, which would be at the 2-week mark. But 1 month after, it's okay for them to continue with their 4th session if they're able to do it, and you can continue on with the 4th one. If it has been more than 2 or 3 months, then you need to either start all over again if they're already in the early stages, or if not, then that is a clinical supervision conversation to see if that person would be able to continue on from where they left off or would have to restart the program. We have our own protocol here in Florida, so that's something that also has to be worked on with MAC and make sure that there's a protocol established when that happens, because it can happen. Not too frequently, but it can.
So has MAC worked up a protocol on that too?
I think at this point, we'll probably double check with everybody. That will be something that Carolyn Moore will be doing on the monthly calls. For now, let's just follow the recommendations of Florida.
Okay.
So I will share that with them so that you could see it, and then from there you can take it and see if there are any modifications that you would need to do to that.
So I'm a little bit confused or misunderstanding. The PHQ, I thought we were doing it once in the 1st session, and then we continue with the problem-solving solutions, etc. But then I'm hearing also you do it every time? Is that what it is?
PHQ-9, you do it every single session, from beginning to end.
So if they say, but we've done this last week, do I still do it?
Correct. You explain it to them at the beginning and say PHQ-9 is a form. So the 2 forms that you will be doing every single session is PHQ-9 and the PEARLS worksheet. And you just explain it to them. I know that we've already done it, but this is the program. This is what we will be doing every single session.
Okay. Thanks for clarity on that.
Not a problem. Anyone else? Okay, so we've gone through PEARLS forms, PEARLS participants, healthcare providers, PEARLS affiliates. So these are all the organizations that we have, and in this case, that person just works with one organization. They will only have one organization name, and each organization can have their own sites. Give me a minute. So you have the organization name that you will have. In this case, is Emerald City. And then each of these, you can create sites under each organization. So it gives you the name of the organization, you have the billing, shipping address, and then some of these would be the contact name for the counselors that are active for them. New contact person that would be from that organization that you can contact. If there's a new site that you need to create within that organization, so let's say, like Linda, if you're working with two separate organizations, you will have...
Yeah, like First Medicine and, say, Department of Family Services?
Yeah, so in your case, where it says organization name, you will have two organizations under this area. And you would just, for each site, you would have to come along and create a new site every time that you want to go through the organization. So let's say you're doing a specific community center, you put the name of the center, it's affiliated to that organization, and then the address and everything else to create that site. So let's say CC Unity, for example, and then the address, main contact information for that person, and you put save. So this site will now be available in, let me go back to the site, Emerald City. So now you'll find CC Unity, and when I fill out all the information, then everything else will be populated. So that now will be an option for you. And then you have mentor names, anybody that you considered as a mentor or associated to it. Questions with the site? For the reports, I'll have Chelsea go over with you the reports, the ones that we normally work on for counselors, and then some of the supervisor ones that they would need to go through. So.
Okay, so there's two main reports that you guys will be using. If you go to the Pearls Home tab, you will see a section. If you go to the Pearls Home tab, there is a section called Reporting. If you click the Reports button, you'll get a whole list of reports. The main two that you'll be using, the first one is under the Pearls Report section, and it's called the Participant Status Overview. If you click Select next to it.
So as you can see, if you see in the report area, if you have Enhanced Wellness and Pearls, you'll have Enhanced Wellness reports, Pearls reports, and then EW and Pearls report. So what you're going to focus on is Pearls reports and Participant
Status Overview is the first report that you'll use. Right now, for those of you who haven't started delivering, there won't be anything appearing in your report. But you'll see your affiliate name, MAC, in there, and then if you are a supervisor, you'll have a list of counselors, so you can either view all of your counselors' Pearls delivery activity, or just a single counselor. If you are a counselor, you will just have your name automatically there, and this report gives a summary of all of your information that you've entered in Wellware for this session. So you'll see a list of your clients' names, and in the same row for each name, you'll be able to see when you enrolled that person, if they are at the referral stage, so like meaning that you haven't screened them yet, or if they're currently participating, or if they're a completer in the client type column. Then you will also see the dates for each of their sessions. So you'll see the date that you entered when you logged in the phone screening session, the date for the baseline, and then the dates for sessions 1 through 8. And then you will also see that there are columns for sessions 9 plus, which there are not sessions.
Let's go back to the screen sharing.
So in addition to sessions 1 through 8, which you'll see in the columns labeled sessions 1 through 8, there will be some additional columns for sessions 9, 10, 11. Those will be for follow-up calls, satisfaction surveys, any other session data that you enter beyond that 8th and final session. So this is basically just to get an overview of what you've delivered. You can see a snapshot of everyone you've reached and then kind of where you're at with each person in the program. We use this to look at who we've served, to count up who we've delivered to in the month, to know how many sessions each counselor has delivered. The other main report that you'll use if you go back to the report window, so under the Pearls Home tab, reports, and then again under that middle section for Pearls report, there's a report called Program Overview. And if you click Select next to that, it will pull up a report that shows you your caseload, so who you've enrolled, and you can set the dates on this to show the period of activity that you're interested in looking at. And this report will show you not only the caseload, so who you have active, who you have inactive, and what the status of each of those. The report's not populating here on our end, so you're not going to be able to see an example. But basically this report shows the outcomes. It's a summary of outcomes. So instead of seeing each individual person, it's a summary for everyone that you have served within a particular time period that you'll designate in the report. So you'll be able to see the number of people who have completed the program. So those who have both a baseline and a final entered, you'll be able to look at some summaries of the outcomes. So you'll see the number of people and the percentage of people who you've served who have achieved remission from depression, as well as the number of people who have had at least a 50% decrease in their PHQ-9 scores. You'll be able to see their improvements on the RAPA, the physical activity questions, things like that. So this is more to get an overview of the outcomes for all of your participants together, a summary. If you need to look at outcomes individually for a particular participant, you can go into their tracking chart and see the progress they've made over time, or Megan can also do a complete data export so you can get all the variables for each participant to look at outcomes by participant, so not just as a summary. But again, that goes through Megan. There's not a pre-prepared report in the system available for that type of analysis.
Okay. Do you have any questions with reports?
We'll have to see what's going on with that one, that it's not
this is a dummy account, so that's why. Okay. So that goes for questions so far with what we've done. We've gone through Pearls participants, the forms, healthcare providers, Pearls affiliate, and the report. So as I talked to you about requests, I'm going through requests. So this is, if you have a request for Megan to work on, you see all closed cases. If it's something that has to do with anything that's a closed case, if it's with my current cases, all of them, open cases, or recently viewed. So you might have any requests with those, and you, so it automatically for the status, it's a new request every time that you do one. The type you want to see if it's ask a question, duplicate, merge, delete request, edit organization details, request a feature, or technical issue. You normally either have the ask a question or duplicate, merge, delete request. Anything that has to do with edit organization details, if it's not something that it was an error from your organization that you did when introducing, or request a feature or technical request a feature, these two, I would say leave those two when you talk to either MAC and make sure that you do it as a group. Don't ask them to edit or do things specifically for your organization if you don't go through MAC as well, because every time that they provide changes, It is an expense also, and it's normally something that changes throughout the state, so you want to be cautious of that. So it's important to choose the type of request that it is, because that way it gives Megan an idea of what is going on and what level of support she needs to be able to provide. Remember, they're 3 hours behind, so it might be they're really good at answering and going back, but you have to give them some time in order to be able to do that. But it's fairly quick. They're really good. So you want to see if it's low, medium, or high priority. Give them a rate. As I say, a range. As I say, they really are good at answering back. So if it's really nothing that is major and it can wait, qualify it as such. And then provide a subject. Whether it is changing my ask a question, I have trouble about my PHQ-9 or something, so that she knows what type of question it is, and then you're going to describe what are you going to ask, or what's the problem, or what's the technical issue that you want to submit and ask the request for, and then you submit it. Once you submit it, it'll tell you that someone from Project Enhance will contact you. I think it's between, I don't remember if it's 48 hours or something around that time frame, that they'll answer you back, and they normally get back to you and work with you when they need to. Questions with requests for assistance? Okay. And the resources, it's pretty much also going through, this is mostly for enhanced wellness, the ones that they have here, but they might, have resources, and it's just going back to the same forms that you might need and additional forms that would be provided for that resource section. Okay, so we're done with PEARLS. Sue, do you have, or anyone else, do they have any questions?
When are we going to have the enhanced wellness?
That's a great question.
Because it's pity that, if we are going out in the field and we come across something that it's not good for Pulse, but can go there rather than say, bye, this doesn't suit you. I'd like to offer them something else.
Yeah, so there's another call that Sue had to leave. She has was in another call.
Okay. That's on my mind.
Yeah, so this is finishing PEARLS. Let's finish PEARLS, and then Enhanced Wellness, I think we can do it at a later period, because Enhanced Wellness will take another about hour and a half to do.
Right.
So does anybody have any questions with what we've seen so far with PEARLS? It's pretty much, Enhanced Wellness is similar to PEARLS, so if, kind of creating the new participant. It's the same feature that you do with, so let's try to create one. This is Enhanced Wellness. And then, and then you go through the same form. So really, it's not that different, but since the forms change, then you'll see the differences between one and the other of the forms that you are prompted to fill out and go through. So I don't know do you want me to go through this? Because this is
well, no. I was in my case, I was thinking about the actual workshop, not the database.
The training for the enhanced
training.
Wellness. We already had one. I don't know when they're planning on doing another one. So I think that's I'll let Sue know. And
it's just that I'll be away in August, and I don't want to miss anything.
Okay, she'll be able to contact you, Linda, in case they do. I see some hands that are raised. I don't know if it's Amanda and Grace. Do you have questions or?
I didn't have my hand raised. This is Grace.
Okay. This is probably
it might have been
that got. Yeah. And then I have Grace. I don't know if you have a question.
I think it'll, once you go through it, with hands-on, it'll be
Right.
easier.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay, so we can finish then our call with Pearls today, and then I'll make sure to do Enhanced Wellness and talk to Sue about the Enhanced Wellness one when we go through it. Okay?
Great. Thanks, Carol.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Carol.
all. Have a good day. Bye-bye.